developer, obviously you might be creating exe files that you would want to run and test, so that might be a problem. You probably don't want that to be enabled. But if you're just like on a business computer, that's definitely a feature I would want to have enabled, because if you're on a business PC, then you're probably already going to have a list of programs that you only want to allow anyway. So it'll probably protect from people accidentally downloading any kind of virus. One fun thing that happened is I noticed when I tried to run the terminal in this machine where he's enabled, it popped up a thing that said that it could run part of the program, WSL.exe, because it couldn't figure out who published it, but that's Windows Subsystem for Linux, which is part of Windows by Microsoft, so it's kind of also a way that blocks apps if it's put into a Windows sandbox, so you can't really do that. So if you're on a computer that is like mission critical and you only have a certain set of apps that you want to use and you're not going to be installing apps that are sort of uncommon, then I don't see a reason not to enable this to just that much more increase the security of it. Of course, you probably have to go clean this. Alright, next up we have focus sessions and do not disturb. So do not disturb is pretty self-explanatory. It'll just not show notifications that pop up for noises. It'll simply send the notifications to the notification center, and then you can look through them after that. For focus sessions, it's sort of like a temporary security feature that you like. So you can choose a timer where like the next 30 minutes or hour or whatever, it will set do not disturb and also enable all the options that you want. For example, you can have hide any taskbar apps on the gadgets in the taskbar, and you can run it either from the settings or public or apps. So next is another big one, this feature, and it's actually a video editor in Windows. So Microsoft unleashed that company that made Clipchamp, so you can put it together. And it's actually a pretty respectable video editor. It definitely seems good enough for basic stuff. Filters you can put on video tracks, as you can see on the left, you have a bunch of different for about a minute, so I can't really tell you how good it is, but just on the surface, it seems to be able to do a lot of stuff. You of course have transitions, you can adjust the clip speed, all that sort of stuff. You have quite a bit of options. So for most people, I definitely think it's good enough, worth trying to use. Next up, for Android apps, you might know that you can install the Amazon App Store on Windows 11 and then run Android apps from it. Before, there was a extremely limited list of about 1,000 apps from the Amazon App Store that you can install. They've now increased that to about 20,000, so they've greatly increased which ones are curated for Windows 11. And also, I believe it looks like they rolled out the Amazon App Store to international markets. So if you weren't able to use this Android subsystem feature before, try it now. Coming near the end, we got a couple more. A major accessibility feature that was added is voice access, and this basically lets you control pretty much every aspect of the computer using simply voice. You can see when you first run it, it'll show you a tutorial walkthrough with some examples of commands. For example, if you want to click on something specific, you can simply have it bring up a grid and then choose a number to say, and then it'll move that cursor to that number and then shrink the grid so you can focus in each time on whatever you want to click, and then eventually you say click and it will. You can also obviously dictate text to type out whatever you want, and there's a whole bunch of other commands. It'll show you right here in this tutorial thing if you want to just pause the video and look. And finally, an improvement worth mentioning is now the auto HDR feature and variable refresh rate feature will work on games that are now Windows. They don't necessarily have to be full screen. So you can see that setting appears in the graphics settings now, although I can't really change it. I guess it doesn't make sense to disable it. I don't know why you would, but you can now do it. So let me know what you think is the best new feature and whether or not you think this makes it worth it to upgrade to Windows 11 if you were on the fence about it before. Of course, if you guys like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you want to subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell to enable all notifications. These days, YouTube might not show you the videos, and if you do, subscribe. If you want to keep watching, the next video I'd recommend is one where I was talking about a feature new to Windows 11 that is extremely useful useful, but not many people know about it. So I talked about there, you can click on that. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. I'm taking a quick detour from my usual videos, but don't worry, nobody's dying. This isn't a fundraiser. I don't need your money. In fact, this might actually benefit you in a way, so hear me out. Now, for quick context, it's no secret that I'm a sci-fi fan. In fact, 4 years ago, I even made this tweet of my official list of sci-fi shows that if you don't watch, you may as well burn your TV. And I still recommend these all, by the way. But one of these shows, which I consider among the best of the best, is Babylon 5. Now, I hear some of you saying already, get to the point. So, okay, basically, this show originally aired in the 90s, but very recently, out of nowhere, the original writer and creator of the show, J. Michael Straczynski, announced that the TV network, the CW, is considering doing a full-scale reboot of the show. And it wouldn't just be a straight shot-for-shot remake either. The creator of the show wasn't specific, but he basically said that it would be a from-the-ground-up remake. So the setup, the story, the characters would evolve, and probably just be better in general, just because you'd learn a lot in 30 years, right? And to be clear, the original creator and writer of the show would also be doing this reboot. So it's not like it would be some lame cash grab remake, you know, the kind where they slap the name of some popular franchise on it, but then completely butcher it. No, it would actually theoretically be just as good as the original, if not better. But here's the important thing. Very soon, apparently by the end of the month, the networks are going to make the final decision on whether or not to order the pilot for the first season. So that's where your help comes in. So how would this benefit you? Well, if you like sci-fi at all, trust me, this is good stuff. Yes, it's 30 years old. It can show its age. But it absolutely still does hold up and is definitely still worth watching. And therefore, you would also definitely enjoy the reboot as well. And here's just one quick example of a memorable line from the show that I remembered off the top of my head.
You know, I used to think it was awful that life was so unfair. Then I thought, wouldn't it be much worse if life were fair? And all the terrible things that happen to us come to the rich and deserve. So now I take great comfort in the general hostility and unfairness of the universe.
I mean, come on, you don't come across good writing like that. Oh, and did I mention the original just got remastered in HD? You can watch it on HBO Max, so there's never been a better time to watch it. So at this point, you might be wondering, alright, so then what am I supposed to do? Well, like I mentioned, the creator of the show, J. Michael Straczynski, JMS for short, he posted on Twitter saying that this is basically decision time for the network. He made a hashtag so fans of the show could express just how much support there is for a reboot, and that is B5 on CW in 23. And funny enough, it reached #1 trending hashtag on Twitter within just over an hour. So if you didn't believe me before, let the enthusiastic fan base speak for itself after 30 years nonetheless. So if you've made it to this point and you're interested at all in the show, I urge you to post on Twitter using the hashtag to let the networks know that you would be interested in watching the reboot. You could literally post something along the lines of, didn't know about this show before, but just heard great things about it. You would definitely be interested in watching, plus the hashtag, of course, and that would be awesome. Or even also leave a comment on this video saying you're interested. I'm sure they're going to be monitoring how much activity posts using this hashtag get. And I'll also put links to the tweets I've mentioned in the description if you want to like them, retweet them, whatever. I don't want this video to go on too long, so like I mentioned, at least check out the show on HBO Max. It's still a masterpiece. Whether or not the reboot happens, it's still definitely worth watching. One quick note is just be aware of The Gathering, that's the first episode. That was actually the pilot. It's not quite as polished as the rest of the episodes, so definitely watch at least a couple episodes to get a better idea about the show. But like I said, the best thing you can do is post a tweet using that hashtag to show the network that there is quite a bit of interest in the show. So anyway, thanks for watching till this point, and I'll see you in the next video that I make. Scheduled program.
Hey everyone, sorry it's so dark down here. Apparently electric companies want you to pay them every month, so my power got cut. Thankfully I have some leftover radioactive material just lying around my way.
Recently, I was helping some friends buy some arcade machines for a local arcade.
Bye.